Centipede Smith Part 2 The Hole. Centipede Smith was in the backyard, calling himself a sadomasochistic anarchist. He bit his own tongue on purpose. "You're not a sadomasochistic anarchist, Centipede," his friend Carl said. "You're just misunderstood. You should come to Bible camp with me this year. I think you'll learn things about yourself." "Like how I'm a sadomasochistic anarchist?" Centipede asked. "No, not like that," Carl said. "Besides, you don't know that." Centipede's mother, Ann Smith, was watching her son and his friend Carl crouching in the backyard, staring into a hole through the rickety screen door on the far side of the kitchen. The biscuits were all gone. Ann got on her hands and knees to scrub up the dried blood from the kitchen floor. Carl put a plastic bag into the hole in the backyard. Centipede stood between Carl and his house, blocking the view. Carl pushed dirt into the hole and smoothed it out. Centipede slid a piece of plywood over it. Centipede and Carl walked out through the alley. The houses were tall on either side of them, all of the windows looking dark in the middle of this bright summer day. Centipede blinked rapidly, looking at everyone they passed, wondering if anyone had seen them dig the hole. "Last year at Bible camp," Carl said, "I saw this deer, and there was two other deers with it, and they all had antlers. They were all big. I didn't know that grown-up deers could hang out like that. But then one of them turned to another and started yelling and griping about something he had done earlier. And then he bit the deer he was griping and yelling at, and he sunk his teeth into its neck. The deer snorted and hollered, and they wrestled to the ground." Centipede looked up at a big white house and managed to make out an old woman in a bra through the glass. "And then the third one ran away, saying he wasn't going to be the violent deer's friend anymore, but that he didn't like the bitten deer that much, so he wasn't going to help him. But he felt slightly bad about leaving," Carl continued. "And then the first deer held his flat teeth deep in the other deer's neck, and then the other deer died." Centipede looked at an RV in someone's yard, but it was all sealed up. He didn't know if anyone was inside. That night, after Carl was back at his house and Centipede had gone to bed, Centipede opened his eyes. He couldn't wait anymore. He had to dig it up. He put on his slippers and got a flashlight from the cupboard. He very slowly crept through the rickety screen door into the backyard. Centipede moved the plywood and pushed his fingers into the dirt. He quickly uncovered the bag and shoved it down the front of his pajama bottoms. Suddenly, footsteps crunched, and he yelped, falling back and shining the light onto his mother's face, sunken and hollow, her eyes crusted over with blackened blood. The flashlight beam was flickering, and as Centipede dropped it, he saw his mother vanish. "I'll chalk it up," Centipede said of his vision, "to sleep deprivation." Centipede quietly made his way back to his room, trembling and clumsy, but still attempting to sneak. He saw light creeping out from under the bathroom door, and assumed his actual mother had been inside the whole time. He went back into his room and clicked the door shut. He threw the plastic bag aside and held the photograph in his dirty, trembling hands. The picture was of a beautiful woman. "Spanish or Hispanic or something," Centipede murmured. She had black, thick hair, and the photo was black and white. She wore a flowing skirt embroidered with diamonds and sparkling lace. "Maybe Indian," Centipede murmured. The woman was bare-chested and dancing. She had full, curving breasts that inexplicably complemented her frozen motion. "Holy fuck," Centipede murmured, clutching his penis through his flannel pants. The woman was smiling, and Centipede pretended he was off to the side of the picture, where she was looking. He was wearing a red velvet suit, and he was nodding at her in approval. "Maria," Centipede murmured. He thought it was a good name for her. Carl told him he had found the picture in a dumpster, and that hurt Centipede's feelings. Centipede was too frightened to masturbate, even though he tried. He eventually curled up under his blankets to go to sleep, but it was a long time before he could stop shaking and drift off, with the sight of his zombie mother fresh in his mind and tears in his eyes. The muskrat didn't visit Centipede that night, and the next morning Anne was prim and proper in her slacks and blouse, standing over a bowl of biscuit dough. "Good morning, Centipede," she said. "Good morning, Mom," Centipede said. To be continued.